Hi everybody, it's Sharon Seville here from First Executive Recruitment, part of First Group Solutions. Most of us have heard of the learning curve, but how many of us have heard of the forgetting curve? The harsh reality of human brains is that as soon as we learn something, we do start to forget it. So the key is to make sure that you forget the information that you're taking in or learning as slowly as possible. And I was deciding over the weekend which topics might be useful to people this week, and it occurred to me that a lot more of us these days have a little bit more time on our hands at the minute, and that's whether we're working from home, we're still going into work, or unfortunately, we're not working at all. And social distancing and social isolation have inadvertently given us this time, and we do have the choice to either capitalize on it or dwell on it. And I've spoken to quite a few people who are doing things like, they're learning a new language, they're learning to play an instrument, or they're upskilling themselves to be more attractive to future employers. Whatever it might be, we've got the capacity to learn a little bit more freely. So just as important as actually learning something is making sure that we don't forget it and that we attempt to retain it. And that's the subject of today's Daily Burst. I read recently that some studies have suggested that humans forget about 50% of new information within an hour of learning it, which brings me to the forgetting curve. A German psychologist called Ebbinghaus, he pioneered the experimental study of memory, actually, and he's mainly known for the discovery of the forgetting curve, as well as the spacing effect of learning. And his forgetting curve shows how information is lost over time when there's no attempt to retain it. So that brought me on to think about how we make sure that we remember stuff for longer. Well, the speed of forgetting information can be affected by numerous factors, really, and they're things like the complexity of the material. The more complicated information is, the quicker it's likely to be forgotten. How the material is taught, and whether that's using visual aids or audio or essays or slideshows. The other thing is how meaningful the information is, and this is the extent that you can link your learning to previously known concepts. The more relatable the information is, the slower the rate of forgetting. But then you've got the physiological factors like lack of sleep or hunger, as well as the psychological factors, for example, stress or anxiety, which we're seeing more of these days because of the circumstances. So when you take these into consideration and optimize as much as you can, the most useful thing that you can do next is to simply restudy the relevant material at intervals. And when you do that, the chances are you'll remember much more for much longer. Although apparently it's not just about getting your revision or your repetition into a single evening or a day, it's not cramming it all in. He actually discovered that if you space out repetition between the different learning sessions, which is that spaced learning that I mentioned, it proved to be an incredibly robust way to retain information and reduce that forgetting rate. So the conclusion is that when you want to learn something, make sure the external factors allowing you to learn are optimized, and then regularly reinforce the training or learning you're doing. And if you do, the information is much more likely to stick. And I saw a little mathematical calculation when I was researching this content, which said retrieval practice, I have to remember this, and spaced learning equals memory magic. And I really liked that. Very easy to remember. I mean, I did look at it 3 times over the weekend, so it would stick, but isn't that the point? But you kind of remember that, and it should help you a little bit. And I hope that was interesting, and it gives you some ideas on how to learn and retain information that little bit better. I know it helped me, so I thought I'd share. And that's pretty much it for today. I will see you all tomorrow. And in the meantime, stay well, stay safe, and stay positive. Thank you, everybody.